The pilots we interviewed, incredible as can be, more to lose than they have to gain. They're the ones that Marco Rubio believes. Their sensors themselves and everything else on those planes, there is something, unidentified flying objects that have come into the atmosphere, hovered around for hours, and then leave. That's a truth, right? That's a verifiable truth.
This week, we've got Vincent Wrenn on the show. He's the director of photography for The Age of Disclosure, a documentary where government officials like Marco Rubio talk about what they can't tell you about what they know about aliens. Welcome to Milty's world, where I promise to keep it weird. So buckle up.
I really wanted to have one of the trailers be all the outtakes of the people we interviewed going, I don't know if I can answer that. And okay, I have to really think about the best way to answer that, because they're always trying to walk the line of what's classified and what's not, and what's going to get them indicted or arrested and what's not. Shall and should can change the complete definition of something, and it's sort of along those lines. At any rate, ask me anything you want.
Well, thanks for being here today, Vincent.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So Vincent Wrenn, you're the director of photography for The Age of Disclosure, amongst other things.
Correct.
This is a big deal in the ufology community, one of the biggest breakthroughs I think that people could find. I have wanted to be a believer for a long time, and this movie definitely made me one. I was watching it, and I was just like, holy crap, the whole time. And I'm like telling my wife, because she wasn't able to watch it with me whenever I watched it. And I said, it's like I was watching a part of Independence Day. But then I'm sitting here thinking, wait, that's Marco Rubio. That's not fake. Yeah. And that really, it gave me an existential kind of vibe for a while.
That's kind of what it's about, right? It is kind of about, it is an existential topic.
Yes.
It's not exaggerating it to say if the world began to just accept this as truth and fact, not disputed, it would change the way we view all of the things, like all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people even say that it would change the way that they viewed their religion as Christianity per se, and other religions. But personally, I don't foresee that it would change the way I feel about my religious beliefs.
Neither does the Catholic Church, for the record.
Really?
Yeah, the Vatican is mentioned a little bit in this film, and there was some talk of going to Italy in the beginning, like in pre-production. And then we just decided if you didn't work for the U.S. government, you weren't going to be in our movie. That's the criteria. You're at a certain level working for the U.S. government when this information was revealed to you, or when you had an experience.
To just basically legitimize it all.
Nothing sensational. But there was brief talk of going and talking to people at the Vatican. They seem to have a position, but the official position is that it does not conflict with Catholicism. That's
interesting. And also that leaves you for a sequel.
Yeah, it sure does. Or a TV show.
Which I would really like to see one of, yeah. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. That's all I'll say. It's definitely
anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even aliens.
So you know Michael Marco?
I do, man. I know him really well.
You guys worked together on some film?
I met Michael Marco in 99. I don't remember what job it was, but neither of us were leading the charge on it. He was in art department and I was lighting, I was gaffing. And then I shot a short for him, which was a lot of fun. And then I shot his first feature.
That's awesome. Michael's a fun guy.
Yeah, he's great.
You've been in film for a very long time.
It's the only real job I've ever had. Yeah. I mean, if you call it a real job. But I mean, in college, I worked, I worked in a restaurant, I worked at a bar and stuff. But beyond that, and I was on set before I went to college. So
what developed the love for it?
My dad's a DP, and I was around it my whole life. And I got on film sets, and I'd done one or two 5-day type projects between my junior and senior year. There were like lots of all-nighters and in the middle of nowhere. It was like one of them was at the old where they shot John Wayne's Alamo.
Oh, cool.
So it was at Happy Cheyenne was the guy's name. It was at his ranch, and it was scorpions and low budge, and I was holding a boom and carrying a bag, and I was just doing anything I was told to do. And at the end of it, my dad was like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "I love it." He's like, "Well, if you love this, you might be able to do this, because this is nearly as bad as it gets."
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what led you into working on The Age of Disclosure?
So I don't have any emotional or historical investment in this topic, which I think made me a really good candidate for the job. But Dan Farr, the director, reached out to me. We talked it out on the phone, and then we met for coffee and asked me to shoot it. I said, "Yeah." When I knew I wanted to do it, or I felt really good about doing it, is when he emphasized how important it was to make an alien doc that wasn't going to be sensational and wasn't going to have overbearing voiceover or music or try to make things a bigger deal than they are, that you could stand on its own laurels, and we would just interview people that were really serious humans. And that's what we did for almost 3 years.
Now, was Dan, was this his passion project? Is he a ufologist or anything like that? Or
He had a lot of passion behind it. I don't know if it's a passion project. He was a producer on another alien documentary.
Okay.
And I think when he was doing that, he started talking to the people being interviewed, and he started really wheels started turning, and a couple people jumped on. Those guys opened doors to a lot of other guys, and it just sort of snowballed. And it's like, if I push, I have access to a lot.
That's cool. And it's almost like it was just meant to be then.
Meant to be, if you like pushing a rock up a hill is meant to be. It's meant to be because you decide it.
Yeah. Well, I think all things are.
Yeah, like a lot of things.
Yeah. It's like they say about the muse or your ideas, like they come to you, and if you don't want to use them, then they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I think of thoughts like sort of like, this isn't the best analogy I've come up with, but one is cars driving by, and you can hop in the one you want, and you can just let the rest drive by.
I like that. That's a cool analogy. Getting this out of the way, after you worked on this film, hearing the stories that people had to say, did your opinion of what aliens were, or even if they existed or not, change from the beginning towards the end?
Yeah, I think my opinion has changed. I'm kind of an easy sell in that I believe the U.S. government hides information from its people. I also think it should in some cases. If this information had been released in the mid 50s or early 60s, it would have been a rip in the societal fabric that would have been, I don't know what it would have been, but probably not great. If there's something to disclose in 2026, I think that it's a good idea. But I understand why people thought it was a bad idea at one point.
Yeah.
And I'm also like, it's a really big universe, and it seems super unlikely that there isn't intelligent life beyond this planet. Like, incredibly unlikely, right? So where those two truths overlap on the Venn diagram, I can't tell you 100%.
Yeah.
It seems more probable than not that there is more going on than we can confirm.
I know the first time that anyone ever tried to tell me that it was real was my cousin. And he was a Marine. He was on a Navy ship.
Okay.
And he came back and he's like, "Yeah, there's aliens out there." And then I was like, "Okay, buddy, you're crazy." And he just laughed about it. He never tried to push me, but he tried to tell me early.
The pilots we interviewed, incredible as can be, more to lose than they have to gain. They're the ones that Marco Rubio believes, right? They're their sensors themselves and everything else on those planes make it a undeniable situation. Like, there is an unidentified flying objects that have left, like, come into the atmosphere, hovered around for hours, breaking all understanding of what ships can do, what flying objects can do, and then leave. That's a truth, right? That's a verifiable truth.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're like, well, either there's a lot of secret tech, or somebody came to visit.
It's almost like they're waiting on some more Marvel movies to come out before they tell us the truth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
was there a moment whenever you like first realized that a person that you were listening to was just not acting?
I never thought anyone was acting.
Never.
In this movie, in this documentary.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think most people who have come forward that we interviewed have more to lose than they do to gain.
Right.
There are a couple people, main subjects in our doc that have acquired some level of celebrity around this topic. And you could argue, well, they have a book deal and yada yada yada. But like Jay Stratton, man, is a straight shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Like I spent a lot of time with him over a bunch of years. I mean, a few days at a time, but over a bunch of years. And he's just incredibly consistent. And like, you get a feeling when someone is bullshitting you.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that I thought that anybody ever was.
Of course.
I just want to know if you felt like there was a point where maybe you were more skeptical that then you were like, oh no, I feel like this is something serious.
Honestly, I believe that everyone I interviewed believed what they were saying.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is just writing their own coattails of a singular experience, because that's one thing you could consider. And I don't think anybody's fabricating something out of thin air.
Right.
Not a single person.
Do you think there's any distinction in like somebody being honest with you, but also maybe you could tell like, no, this person absolutely knows what they're talking about is true?
Not in this case particularly. So like there's we can divide the people we interviewed up into firsthand experiences, firsthand like examinations of people who've had firsthand experiences, like Gary Nolan. He's a scientist, incredibly renowned, and teaches at Stanford, and will say that he's seen internal scarring on people, like on people's internal organs from coming in proximity to a ship.
Right. From the energy.
Yeah, that's right. The guy's credentialed up the ass. He created some way of testing blood that has changed all of our lives, and nobody knows. Like he's a big deal, and a true believer, absolutely a true believer, and but really grounded human being. And then like there's another category of people like Rubio, like Kirsten Gillibrand, that have seen files, have had information revealed to them that is essentially top secret, and they would like to know more. They would like to get to the bottom of some things. Rubio never says, "I believe in aliens."
Right.
He says, "This is happening. This is unsafe. We need to understand it."
Sure.
And not respecting it is dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if it's really just us with some kind of super military equipment that nobody knows exists because we've been keeping the research secret for so long,
right?
There's other countries out there that probably have the same thing going on.
Right. So either way, we need to know.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was speaking out of turn. And by that, I mean, I don't think they were making too many assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they had a firsthand experience, they talked about that. I think if they read reports, they talked about that. Everyone sort of stayed in their lane of experience, and
that was really what I liked about it too.
Yeah,
because you could believe it if it's something that you can't deny. How can you say it's not right?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's why I like. That's honestly why it's my favorite ufology video I've ever watched.
It's great, man. That's good. That was the goal.
Yeah,
we wanted to make. Dan wanted to make the most serious UFO doc ever, essentially.
I'm not saying that I don't find the weird ones fun.
Yeah,
but
sure.
This one was it just did something for me. Like I said, it gave me those existential feelings. A lot of stuff was mentioned, like biologicals, possibly other dimensional. Did anybody say anything off the record that they could not say publicly to you?
Yeah, but I can't say it now either.
You can't share any of it.
No, I can't.
Oh, no.
I can't. But yeah, I think that when the cameras turned off, people opened up even more sometimes.
Yeah.
But not in any. I mean, no one everyone was very on guard against breaking any sort of laws.
Yeah.
That was a big emphasis on our part as the filmmakers. We didn't want to jeopardize anyone's career. We didn't want to jeopardize anyone's freedom. And we don't want to piss off the U.S. government.
Sure.
Like it's not in anyone's interest. It's not in the subject's interest.
So even if there is a Stargate, or even if there is time travel, you will never tell me. Okay, I understand.
I mean, we can also turn off the camera and the mics, and I'll tell you all about the time travel. It's fun. It's fun. It's a little disoriented. No, I'm kidding.
No, there's this one guy, though. He's not related to your film. I can't remember his name, but I heard him on an interview, and he was talking about that he believes the aliens are us from the future, just coming back to check on ourselves.
I haven't. Well, maybe I've kind of heard that one.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard that one exactly.
It's a weird one.
I mean, we should be getting clearer warnings from ourselves from the future.
Literally,
case,
right? There's a movie coming out next Friday. It's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's coming out next Friday. It's about time travel. All you got to do is Google it.
I know it, man. I was just talking about it today, actually.
It looks amazing. And that's what I would think, I would hope that we would do.
It's with a wonderful actor.
Yes.
With a really wonderful actor. And I'm sorry that it's escaping me. It's almost worth looking at.
I'm going to just Google it real quick. I don't care.
Do it.
All right. Time travel movie next weekend.
I saw the trailer for it in the theater like months ago. And then I got an ad for it on Instagram recently. And I was like, oh, it's about to come out, or it's out. That's awesome. It looks so good.
Yes. Good luck.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Don't die.
Don't die. That's
right.
it. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die. I want to see that.
Yeah, me too, man.
Looks like a fun ride. So what's the cleanest version of disclosure that you think could happen? Like if it happened tomorrow, like what do you think might happen?
So no one believes anything anymore,
mm-hmm.
which is a really interesting time to talk about disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
We are kind of post-truth, it seems like to me. I'm going to digress just for a second, because I had this kind of realization the other day when I was watching a film, and it's this tight shot on a clock, and a finger just comes in and moves the minute hands on the clock. And I'm like, that's a beautiful analogy for disinformation. It's not like a total shift. It's just a little tweak to the truth. And then it pulls back, and there's all these clocks in the room. And I'm like, that's actually more accurate. What happens is all the clocks change. And so no one knows what time it is. And that's kind of where we are, right? It's not like, I mean, that's actually where I think true autocracies are. Just flood the zone and tell 1,000 different stories about the same event, and then no one will engage. No one will care.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a level of that we're experiencing right now in America. So if disclosure happened convincingly, it would have to be, I mean, they have to wheel the body out, right?
It'd be like the president having McDonald's on stage in front of everybody with an alien.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that if Trump came out tomorrow and said, here's the deal, I've Area 51, 100% true. I've read all the files. Aliens are 100% real. I went somewhere and I saw the biologics that were discussed in the hearing that's in Age of Disclosure.
I don't think I believe it.
Well, you wouldn't if you don't like him, and you might if you do.
Yeah,
that's a problem, right?
I'm a mixed bag. I don't like any of them.
Yeah, well, you're probably in really good company.
I believe it only because I've heard witnesses, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I didn't know that, and if I hadn't watched your film, and I hadn't listened to other ufologists talk over the years, probably the past 6 years, I wouldn't know enough to see all these things connecting in front of my eyes publicly, right, to the point that it's like, you know what, this has got to be right.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know that, I wouldn't believe him at all, no matter who the president was.
Well, because what's the motivation, right? It's so easy. Like this guy like throws scandals around like nothing to distract you from this fire. He starts another fire,
mm-hmm.
and I mean, like, ingeniously a little bit.
They all want to sell fear so that they can sell a solution.
That's right.
That's it, man.
That's great. That's a great statement.
I work in sales. That's why I think that way.
Yeah, well, it's not wrong, and it's part of the problem that we're in. Right? Is that we're not actually trying to solve problems. We're trying to convince people that we can.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what disclosure looks like. James Clapper, who was head of national security for Obama, I think, he talked about Area 51 in the doc, and that was like one of those moments where I like, took my eye off the metaphorical viewfinder and was like, well, if you're talking about Area 51 and you're probably one of the most serious people I've ever been around in my entire life, um, I should definitely respect this. It was like it was the first week that I was on the job when we interviewed him. It's one of the first interviews we did.
Did they cover any of the history that a lot of people know about Area 51 in that?
A little bit.
A little bit. So they like found biologicals there. They studied them or whatever.
Yeah, and they talk about a landing
Yeah.
and someone coming out of a ship and interacting with CIA and interacting with military.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the last interviews I did.
If you're watching this right now, people, this is real stuff. Go watch this documentary and you'll believe it too.
Yeah, watch the doc. My wife isn't a skeptic of this subject. She's a skeptic in kind of general, and she's really critical in a good way. It's like, point being, when she first saw it, she woke up the next morning and texted me, aliens are real and they're in control of our nukes. Like, it really like affected her,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if this movie is going to affect you this way, we're on to something.
That's why I felt existential about it.
Yeah.
I have felt the same way.
People I brought on to, different days. I was lucky enough to have almost for the whole film a camera operator named Dave Fredericks, who was amazing and an incredible asset. But I had other camera operators along the way, and I had a boom on one day, and I had a bunch of different guys that came in and out, and I would talk to them after, and they'd be a little freaked out sometimes. And I kind of acclimated, right? You could say anything, and I was gonna be more worried about what's in the right of the frame, or if the light's right, than I was about what they were saying. It wasn't making me existentially concerned, but it would affect people, man.
You weren't laughing at the Balchinian jokes anymore.
Oh, yes. That is great.
Man, so the cinematography in this movie is absolutely great. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
There's some really wonderful shots in the film. From the beginning of it, there's motion and it doesn't stop. And something that I've learned in editing myself lately is that motion carries the story.
Yeah.
And I want to say that without that element, it might have been boring, but it wasn't. It was engaging, and it made you pull into the listen to listen to the person talking. And so what did you approach? How did you approach, creatively to get that effect?
So I guess I can talk about this in different segments. One, I shot a camera in 8K, and we finished the film in 4K, which means that I could punch in 4 times before we passed 4K, which gives us a lot of freedom to reframe based on what the person's saying, the intensity. It also gave us the ability, like, I always had a camera on a dolly track, always. But you can't always just be pushing in, because they're not always saying something that's worthy of pushing in, right? So a lot of times I would reframe or follow my gut and start pushing in when I felt it was happening. But if it goes wrong, there's a lot on the line, because they may never say it that way again. It's not, you don't get second takes, right, in a doc. So my inclination was to stay a little wider, have a nice frame, and then do digital pushes, very subtle ones, hopefully, and pulls. And I'm not like a big fan of that for narrative filmmaking, of course, but for docs, I feel like it works. And then Dave was always on a slider on B camera, so he was almost always moving just a little bit. And the last third of the interviews we did, maybe not that many, not quite that many, but we also had a C camera. And then, you turn all that over to Spencer, our editor, and his timing is exceptional. He's incredibly good at his job. And just the cuts and the different sizes, mixed with all the B-roll that I shot, that we shot, and all the archival really just creates the pacing that I think you're talking about.
Yeah. So on a big project like this, I do everything myself for my show. So I'm in control of it all, and I like the way it goes. And if it doesn't go well, it falls on me, no one else.
Mm-hmm.
And so like whenever you have an editor like that, that is the scariest part of this production thing for me, is to hand it over to someone. How do you choose your editor, and do you choose somebody who matches a certain style that you're looking for this one project, or how does that go?
Well, okay, so as a DP, I don't hire the editor, just to be clear. Dan,
Sure.
100% hired the editor. But we did watch films that Spencer cut and that other editors cut that we were thinking about. And we all weighed in on who we liked. And I was a big proponent for Spencer from the very beginning. And he's also, along with being very good at his job, he's also very open to suggestion. Maybe even like more so than I am in my job, honestly. And Dan is, I mean, I think it's fair to say he's a perfectionist. He wants any moment that is in discussion to be the very best moment it can be. And sometimes if that means reshoots, if that means getting more B-roll, if that means, shooting more establishers or, whatever in DC, then that's something we'll go and do. But Dan never took his finger off of the edit. He was always there, working it through with Spencer. And I was, and out of my lane a little bit. I was getting cuts as new edits came out, and I would literally spend 8 hours making notes on a 2-hour movie.
That's wild, yeah.
And then I would see some of those notes reflected in the next edit. So that just encouraged me to do it again, because everybody wants this film to be as good as it possibly can.
Yeah, you start to see your own strokes on the canvas.
Yeah, and usually my strokes on the canvas end when they call wrap on the last day. That's like until we get to coloring, and then when we get into coloring, then I'm back on board. But I kind of stayed on board to some degree. I wasn't in the shit the way Colin, producer, was, the way Dan was, and of course the way Spencer was. But I was running around on the peripheral and weighing in where I could. And then we got into coloring, and that was a great experience as well. So you just, you hire the right people for the right job, and ideally you let them be good at their jobs.
I'm going to nerd out for just a second here.
Nerd out.
All right. So if you're here for the alien stuff, that's fine. We're going to talk about that a little bit more before we end. But coloring.
Okay.
I've always wondered, how did they color movies? Like, when did computer editing and coloring become a thing?
2000.
2000.
About 2000. The digital intermediate. So TV, commercials, all of that. Telecine has been going on since like the late 80s, maybe earlier. But for film projection, where you're actually projecting light through a piece of film to watch it, I think the first time a film had a complete digital intermediate was Roger Deakins shot it. The Coen brothers directed it, and it was called "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Really?
And so they took all that brown in the film is green.
Yeah.
And they took all the green out and made it dry and wanted it to be dusty, but it's like green foliage everywhere, and so they just made it brown.
Yeah.
So they did a full DI on Oh Brother. And prior to that, and I was lucky enough, like right about that time, and I knew that I would never get this opportunity again, or it'd be very unlikely that I got this opportunity again. About that time, I shot my first 35 millimeter feature, and the director wanted to do a photochemical color timing for projection. And this was not a film that was going to have a big, long theatrical run. It was an action adventure movie, a lot of things blowing up, a lot of gunplay, and it was a lot of fun. It was an amazing project to work on. But it was going to be what was then called straight to video, right?
Yeah.
Most likely. So I knew that a photochemical color timing was not really necessary, but I was like, if I don't do this, I'll maybe never get a chance to do it again. And the way that process worked at that budget level, and it's probably a little more elaborate when you're making $100 million movie than when you're making a $3 million movie. But you go and you watch the film with your colorist, with your color timer, and you just kind of talk to him the whole time. You just kind of like, okay, so I think this is a little magenta. I think this is maybe a little more contrast. And you're just whispering to him the whole time, and he's making notes the whole time or listening the whole time. And then he messes with the printer lights, and they do another print, and then you come back a week later and you do the same thing again. And for me, I got to do that 3 times.
So that's how it was done. Like, say on a movie like Heat, or further
100%.
back. Wow.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, it's kind of like Disney used to do the paintings on the glass.
Yeah.
And then they change every frame.
Yeah.
Like, that's so time consuming and crazy, but it's real art. Like, I mean, digital stuff can look great, and I guess it's real art too, but there's just something about the hand created.
Yeah, it's different. It's the craft has changed dramatically, since the beginning, and really since in my career, it's changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Heat is a great example because it looks so good.
Yeah.
A mentor of mine and a person I worked for a long time named Jim Gertsch was the gaffer on Heat and a bunch of other huge movies as well. He was exceptional at his craft. And and Dante Finati shot it, and it is like a just insanely gorgeous film, or almost like perfect looking film.
Yeah,
but it's still like gritty and still raw. It's like perfect for the subject, perfect for that film.
How do you shoot a topic like aliens without making it turn into look like a UFO TV show?
I don't know, man. Did it look like a UFO TV show?
Not in the least. It felt like I was watching like a cinematic film that shouldn't have been real.
I don't know how to answer that question. I just did it.
Do you know the difference though of what I'm talking about though?
I do.
So you're watching Bigfoot Hunters, and it's got a look.
Okay, is it the look, or is it
and the
music
feel
and the sound effects and is it like all the things, right? It's the editing, it's the sensationalist.
Yeah, you got the orchestral going on, and you just feel like this is the Terminator or something, but it's real.
And so, like, if you listen to Blair's score, which is so good, he made a serious score, and I made some serious frames, and we asked some serious questions, and as a result, we have a serious film.
Yeah, you do.
I think, I don't. So I did a documentary a bunch of years ago called Defiant Ones, and I lit everyone I lit, which was like tons of rock stars and rap gods, and I lit them exactly the way I would light them if they had not been rock stars or rap gods. I mean, I followed my inclinations, is what I guess I mean. I'm not. I did try to put them in very large frames because there are these very big characters, and there was a philosophy to the whole thing. But I still did it the way I knew to do it, and everyone freaked the fuck out, basically, that how great the interviews look. But I think it was more because of the people in it than my lighting, So with this is sort of on the flip side of that. I just did it the way I felt I should, and what was appropriate for. The one thing I'll say is I wanted. I felt like we have this out of the world, otherworldly topic, and something that's often dismissed, and so I did want to ground it in academia. I wanted to have wood because you can touch it and feel it, and it's real. I liked the books. I liked anything that. I didn't want it to be blue bias. I wanted it to be warm bias. I wanted to feel safe and comfortable, and not like we were on a spaceship ever.
Was there anything humorous that happened on set whenever you were filming? Were there any outtakes or anything that you guys like? It'd probably be hard to find any in a topic like this, but
making a documentary is a lot of reacting. You can plan and everything, but sometimes people aren't available, and then they are available, and like there's definitely moments that were like comical in that. Like Senator Luna or Congresswoman Luna wasn't available, then she was available, but we could only shoot like into this awful corner. But then she actually, her staffers were basically just defending her and doing what they thought was best for her. And then she got off the floor from a vote. I was like, oh no, just come in the office. And it's like, so I have to get like just all this stuff over to her office. And like, we just took as few things as possible and ran over there with a light, a little bit of negative fill, a mic, and 2 cameras, and go as fast as we can, because she also doesn't have that much time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, her scenes looked good, though.
Her scene looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we pulled it.
Yeah.
We pulled it. I was pretty happy, honestly. Like,
that's
considering awesome. the nuts that we went through right before, and she was great. Like, she really delivered. But that was nuts beforehand. There's like all filmmaking is there's always a bit of chaos in filmmaking.
Yeah.
You plan as much as you can, because no matter how many things you see coming and how much prep you do, there's going to be things that you didn't see coming. And that's the value of pre-production, is that you get rid of all the you deal with all the known possibilities, because there's going to be these unknowns that you just can't predict. And then you have the ability to be nimble and react as quickly because you've dealt with all the other things.
Is there anything like how would you want someone to receive this if they at this point don't believe in aliens, but they're like, I'm going to give this a shot? They could be shocked. What would you? How can they watch this? What do you want them to get out of it? I think I asked that the right way.
So there's a big part in the film about the stigma around this topic, and I think that's a real legitimate challenge for the random viewer, but also as they get into in the film, for science and for just getting to the bottom of something. So I would say, yeah, open mind, open heart, listen. Don't let the naysayers cloud what you take in, and trust your gut. Like, there's nothing in this movie. I think it's okay to say this. There's nothing in this movie that hasn't been said somewhere else. There's not. I mean, there's a couple things maybe, but there's not like a big reveal. We're not actually rolling out a body. We're not doing an interview with an alien. But it is a comprehensive film, in that if you don't know, if you're not into this topic, which is amazing to me how many people are. When I started talking to them about this, so many people were like, oh my God, yeah, I'm on the Reddit and this and that, and like, so many people will just really start to open up to you as soon as you mention.
We have to blame that on Joe Rogan.
You can. A lot of people in this documentary have spent a lot of time with Joe Rogan, for sure. Yeah. He mentioned this film 6 or 7 times before Dan, the director, was ever on the podcast. You asked in a previous, like in an email, how we handled really big statements on camera that we couldn't independently verify.
Sure.
And that really comes down to like not dealing with it in the moment, but like evaluating it in post, and it just staying on the cutting room floor if it wasn't something that, if you watch the doc and you're maybe 80% engaged, you might start to think, well, didn't I just hear that a few minutes ago? Mm. But it was really important to Dan that that there was some level of redundancies, because it was different people saying the same thing about the same subject, and that lent credibility to whatever the topic was.
Well, see, I didn't find it repetitive, because to me it was the same. The intention was seen. I saw it as, okay, that person said it, and they're this person, and that person said it, and they have this clearance or this authority. And so it's like, well, if all these people with authority are saying the same thing, it just has to be something to it.
Right. And that was definitely the point. And if someone said something and no one else concurred, it didn't make it into the movie.
Yeah, and you forget it too.
Yeah, and you would forget it. But we really wanted to be verifiable in in everything that was discussed. I mean, there's the theory around how they travel and the technology, and how they are powered, and that, but that is presented as a theory. It's not presented as fact. But as far as like people testifying to their experiences or what they believe to be true, we definitely wanted support for that.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say that we didn't touch on, as far as cinematography and interviews go, philosophically, it's really important to me that that I don't ever, if I need to call cut because of a technical issue, I will, but I really want to avoid that. And more than one occasion, interviews would go longer than predicted, and whatever light was natural in the frame would really start to drop. And I don't want to pull the director and the subject out of their zone. And so there's more than a couple of times where I'm changing things as the interview's happening.
Like white balances and stuff?
Like, so as the light goes down outside, all the lights have to also go down to the same ratio inside.
So it feels natural.
We also have to make the camera more sensitive. You can pull neutral density, which is just dark glass essentially, or you can change the ISO on the film, on the camera itself. But then that often makes everything much, much, much brighter because it's a big jump. And then you have to add ND. So there's this like dance that you play with as the light's changing to keep the image looking exactly the same. And on more than one occasion, I had to do that while we were shooting, or I wanted to do that while we were shooting so that they could keep talking. And as soon as the director started to say something, because he's never in the documentary, I would make these, kind of radical, very fast, very quick changes, and then they'd keep going. And that's probably I was pretty stoked on being able to do that as quickly as I was. But it was probably definitely one of the most like engaged, stressful moments.
It's like playing music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lighting is like playing jazz.
Yeah.
Like a lot of lighting, you can plan the rhythm, but like what's going to happen on the day is going to change, and it's going to come up in you, and you're going to do things differently than you thought you were going to. And it is like, yeah, it is a lot like music.
That's
I think
awesome.
Films, and this is definitely a tangent, but I think films in general are actually more similar to music than they are to like books. If you're going to try and draw a comparison, I think we see movies. It's like listening to a new album. You're like, oh, I don't know if I like this album, but then you listen to it a few times. You're like, oh, this is actually a really, really good album. It just isn't like the album that this band made before. And I really wanted to hear another one of those albums. But now that I'm listening to this, like it's exceptional. And I feel the same way about films. Like Jackie Brown, I had to watch 4 times before I realized it was a masterpiece, because it wasn't Pulp Fiction, and then I'm like sitting there about halfway through it. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And it took me 4 viewings. I saw it in the theater. I was like, I guess, And then you flash forward a couple of years and I'm watching it again. I'm like, oh, this is really, really good. Yeah. So that's my music analogy tangent.
It's really cool how you just described Post Malone's career too.
What's that?
I said, it's really cool how you just described Post Malone's career as well.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Post Malone is?
No.
You might not like him. I don't know. He's a really cool guy. He started out with like a R&B vibe. He's young. And he had friends that were rappers in LA. He was from Texas, I think. And he had one song called White Iverson that really hit off. He shared it on SoundCloud, and the whole world found it overnight. And he just came out of nowhere. And then he went from R&B to rock. Then he went from rock to pop, and then he went from pop to country. And it all has the same vibe cohesively. It sounds like him, but it's just weird.
Wow. Well, I'll have to check him out.
So yeah, every time you come out with a new album, it's a different genre. So, but people still follow him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I bet some people love that he does that now that they know he's going to do it.
I actually love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
As a musician and as a neurodivergent that likes everything. So
you're a neurodivergent that likes everything.
Well, not everything, but musically, I like almost everything. Yeah. Art. I think I like all art.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, hit the subscribe button. Also, go on Amazon Prime and check out The Age of Disclosure. I'll leave a link in the description. As always, Milty don't quit, and you don't either. Love you guys.